It's very important when you're making a graph or when you're looking at a graph that somebody else has made to always analyze it to think, is this graph displaying information fairly? And so what we're going to do in this video is look at 4 different graphs and talk about kind of their strengths and their weaknesses. So in this first graph, we have a representation of the different types of pests caught by cats in 3 different towns. We have Stockton, Raleigh, and Hillsborough. And looking at this, I hope you see that it's really confusing. The way they have those 3-dimensional bars stacked all over each other, you can't even see all the categories. For instance, I can't see Hillsborough roaches because it's completely covered up by the Raleigh roaches and the Stockton spiders. So you're missing graphs. And then the whole 3-dimensional part, it makes the bars up front automatically look bigger than the bars in the back. And then you can't even really tell how tall each bar is because of the way the axes are. Like from where I'm looking, it looks like the Stockton mice and the Hillsborough miscellaneous bugs are about the same height. But it's really hard to tell exactly what the Hillsborough miscellaneous bugs is trying to trace it around. So it's very confusing. It does make it look like Stockton has a lot of spiders and Raleigh has a lot of roaches, but again, we're missing information, we can't see everything, and it's distorted. So that's a bad graph. Here is another pie chart, and this is a breakdown of Kenny's day. And we see that Kenny slept, played, groomed, and ate, which hopefully Kenny's not human. If he is a human who's older than maybe about the age of 3, that's really not a very productive day. Maybe Kenny's a cat. This is probably the way a cat behaves. But the problem with this graph is it's 3-dimensional. By the way it's tilted, adding that little lip to the bottom of it, it makes the front bars look way bigger automatically than the back bars. And yes, sleeping and playing do take up larger portions, but having that extra blue bar around the front makes sleeping look way bigger than it is. It would be much better to have just a basic circle that's broken into the different sectors rather than trying to make it fancy, which distorts the graph. Here's another graph where it shows the average salary in North Carolina for community college instructors versus Wake Tech. And when you look at it, you think, wow, North Carolina teachers make way more money than Wake Tech because that bar is much, much longer. But if you really look at it, look at that scale going across the bottom. It looks like all of North Carolina is $36,750 and Wake Tech is $36,500. That's only a $250 difference. Split over 12 months, that's maybe $20 a month. That's really not a big deal. But the way this graph is, starting at $36,000 rather than starting at 0, it blows it way out of proportion. It would be much better to have the graph start at 0, and then those 2 bars would look much more similar to represent that they're only $250 apart, rather than having it zoomed in and really changing the scale of the axis. And then finally, we have, this is an actual ad from an Aveeno advertisement, and this is talking about the healing power of oats, so I'm assuming it's making you think that Aveeno is far better than anything else because it has oats. And it's telling us our moisturizer levels in mean Nova DPM units, whatever that is, and then hours since somebody put on the lotion. And we see that we have Aveenos that are way up high, and then Lubriderm, and then the others. And what I don't like about this graph is, for one thing, how many of y'all know what mean Nova DPM units are? I really don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's something to do with levels of moisturizing, but that's kind of confusing. And then, yes, Aveeno jumps up and it stays up, but after the end of the day, you're back down to basically where everything else was. So maybe you like Aveeno, you want to buy it, whatever. But I feel like this is kind of an awkward ad with all the different lines and everything that most consumers probably don't fully understand. So bad ads are everywhere. We saw that pie chart that was actually taken off of CNN. That was our attendance check last week. And then we have a couple here. I'm sure y'all will encounter them in your daily lives. If you find any good ones, please email and share them to me. I love to see really bad statistics in the news.